I'm very expecting from the market, but we are aiming for number one. Coming regulation, maybe the rule will be changed. Opportunity to gain the market share, but we are trying hard.
Honda's latest hybrid engineering move for 2025 is quietly rewriting the rules, and no one saw it coming. While others chase full electrification, Honda has taken a different path, one that blends precision, punch, and something unexpectedly bold under the hood. It's not just efficient, it's reactive, refined, and built to challenge what we thought hybrids were capable of. There's one core component in this system that could flip the script on everything you think you know about electrified driving. So, what exactly has Honda done differently this time? Honda's hybrid comeback. The reintroduction of the Civic Hybrid in 2025 marks a bold new chapter in Honda's approach to electrified mobility. Far from a nostalgic reboot, this model is a signal of intent, a modernized hybrid designed to meet today's evolving expectations around performance,
Honda CR-V Hybrid, and so we're going to pop the hood here in the garage,
affordability, and sustainability. As fully electric vehicles continue to face challenges with high price points, inconsistent charging infrastructure, and range anxiety, hybrids are rapidly regaining attention. Honda is meeting this moment with a vehicle that blends cutting-edge hybrid engineering with the real-world flexibility that everyday drivers demand. Rather than simply refining what came before, Honda has reimagined the Civic Hybrid from the ground up. The new model is built on an evolved electrified platform featuring a dynamic two-motor propulsion system and intelligent drive modes that adapt seamlessly to a variety of driving scenarios. What makes this system stand out is not just its technical complexity, but its ability to deliver a refined and engaging drive. Instant torque from the electric motor brings the kind of low-end responsiveness usually associated with EVs, while the overall powertrain behavior is designed to feel natural and polished, not experimental or compromised. Besides, Honda has been paying close attention to adding a greater degree of driver control and participation in what has usually been advanced but not frequently appreciated in hybrid vehicles. Consider, for instance, steering wheel mounted deceleration selectors, allowing the driver's ability to vary recovery on the fly. This also gives power-hungry drivers a chance to very discreetly modulate energy recovery manually, making the drive feel a little more interactive than what would otherwise be the case, and thus distinguishing it as unique in this class. At the very least, this would typify Honda's attitude that, indeed, to achieve efficiency, there is no need for less associate experience. All this while, the invisible regenerative braking recaptures energy during deceleration, making normal driving much more efficient without the need for changes to the driver's behavior. Apart from the technology, the 2025 Civic Hybrid is offered in Sport Hybrid and Sport Touring Hybrid flavors with reasonable accessory levels, matching value with personalization. Indeed, the Sport Touring trim offers a new individual driving mode, setting drivers to such aspects as steering, throttle response, and regenerative braking to individual preferences. This, plus Honda's long-time reputation for reliability and fair pricing, coupled with good resale values, makes the Civic Hybrid more than merely a good option. It sets the stage for Honda's greater e-mobility strategy. This is not just a comeback, rather it is a forward-thinking approach to the future of hybrid car making. But what's really powering this comeback isn't just design, it's what's happening under the surface. Honda's secret formula. The innovation driving the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid isn't just about putting together electric motors and a gas engine. It's about how Honda has engineered them to work together in a way that feels purposeful, seamless, and completely intuitive. This is where Honda's two-motor hybrid system stands apart. It's not simply an alternative to conventional powertrains. It's a well-calibrated orchestration of hardware and software that elevates the entire driving experience.
This Civic Hybrid is the most fuel-efficient Civic you can buy, and it's actually the most powerful other than the Extreme Type R.
Designed in-house with years of electric development behind it, the system is tuned to manage energy use with remarkable precision, and the result is a powertrain that works smarter, not harder. Central to this innovation is the system's control strategy. The Civic Hybrid doesn't rely on brute force or high revving shifts. Instead, it uses an advanced logic-based control unit that determines in real time whether to operate in EV drive, hybrid drive, or engine drive. What makes this so effective is the near instantaneous decision-making. The system evaluates throttle input, road speed, incline, and even ambient temperature to adjust how power is routed. At lower speeds, it often favors the electric motor alone. During acceleration or highway cruising, it may engage the internal combustion engine for added thrust or direct drive efficiency. But at every moment, the system is constantly optimizing for minimal fuel consumption and maximum smoothness. Energy conversion and the recovery process serve as the two main areas of Honda design where their products shine. Motor Generator Unit not only develops electrical power, but it also acts in starting the engine and in converting kinetic energy into battery charge while decelerating. This power will then supply the electric motor with the instant torque it needs, without too much demand from the gasoline engine. The integration is so smooth that the switching from one energy source to another is virtually unnoticed. What drivers won't feel is the change. What they will feel as the result is smooth acceleration, low fuel consumption, and a quieter ride. Such synergy beneath the surface is what gives the Civic Hybrid such a polished character and performance that feels so easy, even when subjected to heavy tasks. Honda's eCVT, or electronic continuously variable transmission, is essential in providing the hybrid with this subtle capability. Unlike conventional gearboxes that shift between fixed ratios, the eCVT allows power to flow smoothly from electric to gas and back again. No jerky shifts or harsh downshifts, just an immediate, seamless operation that aligns engine efficiency with a driver's needs. In other words, it is much more about perfecting the way the wheel turns than reinventing it. This is Honda's secret, a hybrid system that doesn't feel like a compromise, but a step forward toward refined, intelligent mobility. Instant torque, zero delay. One of the most striking features of the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid is how quickly it responds the moment you press the accelerator. At the core of this performance is the electric traction motor, which delivers maximum torque, up to 181 pound-feet, starting from 0 revolutions per minute. This characteristic, more typical of battery electric vehicles, enables the Civic Hybrid to launch confidently and smoothly in city traffic. Honda calls it quick starts and energetic response, and the experience backs it up. Whether pulling away from a stoplight or weaving through tight urban corridors, the throttle response is instant, consistent, and surprisingly fun. At lower speeds, the Civic Hybrid operates primarily in EV drive mode, where the electric motor alone powers the wheels. In this scenario, the 2.0-litre Atkinson cycle engine,
2-liter 4-cylinder engine, and electric hybrid system mated to an eCVT transmission
either remains off or idles lightly in the background. This not only improves fuel economy, but also reduces cabin noise and vibration, delivering a refined, almost electric-like driving experience. Because the electric motor bypasses the need for traditional gear changes, there's no lag, no shift shock, and no waiting for power to build. Just a smooth, uninterrupted surge of acceleration that feels effortless and composed. Honda's eCVT takes the whole driving experience a stage ahead. It differs from other automatic transmission systems in that, instead of transitioning through selected gear ratios, it manages everything from an internal combustion engine with the electric motor to provide an ideal combination of torque and efficiency for every driving situation. The levels of acceleration then become linear and stable, clear of any hesitation or gear hunting characteristics. Familiar to torque converter-based transmissions, perfectly in sync, whether merging into high speeds on highways or overtaking on winding back roads. This assures the Civic Hybrid a precise power regulation to respond quickly and confidently regardless of speed or terrain condition. And what makes this most intensely attractive is the balancing act done on driving pleasure with economy. electric motor handles most of the extra sky-high speeds incorporated in normal practice of using regenerative braking and other energy reclaim operations to recharge the lithium-ion battery without much fun while coasting or judders slow down. Hence, the fact is that the whole system is always prepared with instant torque for the very cases it needs, without adding unnecessary load to the gas engine. The result is a hybrid that not only saves fuel, but also drives as if it were part of a much higher class, far more expensive vehicle. Indeed, a big winner in a crowded segment full of compromises, like the 2025 Civic Hybrid. Regenerative Braking 2.0. One of the most forward-thinking elements of the 2025 Civic Hybrid is its advanced regenerative braking system, which turns every deceleration into an opportunity to gain back energy. Instead of relying entirely on mechanical brakes, the system uses the motor generator unit to convert the car's kinetic energy into electricity during braking or coasting. This reclaimed energy is then stored in the lithium-ion battery, ready to be reused by the electric drive motor. Honda notes that this feature plays a key role in achieving outstanding fuel efficiency, and it's particularly effective during city driving, where frequent stops are unavoidable. What truly elevates Honda's regenerative system above many others in the segment is the driver-adjustable braking control. Using steering wheel-mounted deceleration selectors, the driver can choose how aggressively the system slows the vehicle and how much energy is recaptured. This not only gives more control over the driving feel, such as increasing region on downhill stretches or easing it during highway cruising, but also allows the driver to fine-tune energy management without ever touching the brake pedal. It's a level of personalization and engagement typically reserved for higher-end electric vehicles and adds a distinct performance edge to the Civic Hybrid. From the practical point of view, regenerative braking will minimize the wear on the physical braking system. Much of the initial braking force is obtained from the motor generator. As a result, the use of friction brakes is minimized, prolonging the brake pads and rotors. That's reduced maintenance costs and quiet, soft braking. This is one system that helps save fuel, but will also help preserve the vehicle's performance over time. Yet another example of Honda's long-term usability and cost-effectiveness. In the case of the Civic Hybrid, regenerative braking signifies not just something new incorporated into the car's design. It reflects Honda's philosophy of considering every energy input expended by the car with maximum attention. From a purely passive act, normal braking becomes an active participant in the procedure of enhancing overall efficiency.
Is in the driving dynamics department. This thing is actually a bit of a hoot.
Together with Honda's hybrid drive mode and battery management system, the regenerative setup allows for maximizing interactivity and efficiency while driving. Be it in the city, in stop-and-go traffic, or out on a sweeping descent of a winding mountain road, the Civic Hybrid ensures no movement is wasted, an elegant but sophisticated approach that stands for considerable value over the life of this vehicle. Hybrid Modes Explained. The 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid isn't just efficient, it's intelligent, thanks to a suite of customizable driving modes that adapt to your needs in real time. Available in Sport Hybrid and Sport Touring. Hybrid trims, the system offers either a 3-mode or 4-mode drive system, empowering drivers to fine-tune how the car behaves depending on their mood or road conditions. Whether you're prioritizing efficiency on a long commute or looking for a little more pep during a weekend drive, these modes adjust throttle sensitivity, regenerative braking intensity, and even steering feel to suit the situation seamlessly. In Econ mode, the system dampens throttle response and limits energy consumption from non-essential systems like air conditioning to help maximize fuel economy. It's the go-to setting for those looking to stretch every drop of gas, ideal for calm highway cruising or stop-and-go city traffic. On the other end of the spectrum is Sport mode, which sharpens throttle inputs and increases electric motor support, giving the Civic Hybrid a surprisingly spirited feel. It's a mode that leverages the instant torque from the electric motor to make the vehicle feel quicker and more dynamic, especially useful for merging or overtaking on the freeway. The normal mode is well balanced in terms of economy and performance, and as such, serves a daily use scenario quite well. While the Sport Touring Hybrid features an individual mode.
As you can see, we've got buttons and twirly knobs for the heating and ventilation controls. Again, that is
where one can finely adjust settings for powertrain responsiveness, regenerative braking strength, and steering feel, giving more drivers individualized control. This is something rare in the compact hybrid class, and thus signifies Honda's intent to have a new standard set for how customizable mainstream hybrids can be. Paired with the steering wheel mounted regenerative braking selectors, individual mode allows a highly tailored drive that accommodates both casual and enthusiast drivers alike. Such forward-thinking adaptability is showcased by these drive modes, working into the Civic Hybrid's attached hybrid logic. Depending on speed, load, and terrain, the car switches between EV drive, hybrid drive, and engine drive to optimize efficiencies without even requiring driver knowledge and interaction. A well example that forms low-speed driving. For example, the engine may operate via electric-only propulsion through highway speeds that may favor direct engine drive for fuel economy. Simply select a mode and enjoy while the car goes on about the hard work. This is how advances in intelligent coordination of technology make autopilot feel intuitive, responsive, and entirely in sync with your driving style. It's one thing to offer smart customization, but what if Honda's latest hybrid also delivers something its rivals forgot? Excitement. Outperforming the competition. In a segment long dominated by the familiar faces of hybrid leadership, Toyota's Prius and Corolla hybrid, Honda is entering 2025 with a sharper edge and a clearer purpose. The Civic Hybrid isn't just a response to market demand. It's a calculated, confident move to redefine the standards by which compact hybrids are judged. While other brands emphasize frugality above all else, Honda has engineered a hybrid that's not only efficient, but also viscerally satisfying to drive, using its deep motorsports and mechanical heritage to inject something many hybrids lack: character. What distinguishes Honda's hybrid execution from its competitors is how performance and responsiveness are treated as foundational values, not secondary perks. The Civic Hybrid's two-motor architecture delivers direct drive electric propulsion during much of daily driving, meaning there's little reliance on engine revving to achieve acceleration. This results in quiet, immediate, and steady power delivery, especially in urban environments where frequent stops demand repeatable, low-speed thrust.
200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque is connected to what Honda calls an eCVT transmission.
In comparison, competitors often route electric support through their combustion drivetrains, causing hesitation, rubber banding, or abrupt handoffs that diminish the fluidity of the experience. Honda does not stop at mere responsiveness, and instead, it involves the driver in the process. An important feature that stands out is the regenerative braking adjustment via paddle selectors, an adjustment easy to customize and rare enough on cars outside of EVs or performance hybrids. This allows the drivers of the Civic Hybrid to control the aggressiveness with which the car slows down and recovers energy from braking. A nice touch in terms of both efficiency and interactivity. The Civic Hybrid now gets a level of customization omitted by most hybrids with multiple driving modes, including a customizable individual in Sport Touring trim. The Toyota aspects might seem to give the fuel savings, but Honda makes getting them feel purposeful and rewarding. Ultimately, that's what a potential class leader could have, and not in the sense that we usually associate with hybrids. Efficient? Yes. Designed to break the old conventions? Yes. Clean and modern with a polished ride quality and blindingly effective acceleration? It tops that class. Honda has made a car that is not trying only to match the opposition one for one. It has found sneaky ways to outfox and outdrive them. While other hybrids have pursued economy alone, this one stands out as a paradigm eager to show that it can add some performance cred in equal measure. The power of Honda's Atkinson engine. While hybrid headlines often focus on electric motors and batteries, the unsung hero behind the 2025 Civic Hybrid success is its meticulously engineered Atkinson cycle engine. This 2.0-litre four-cylinder unit may not grab attention with big horsepower numbers, but its brilliance lies in how it prioritizes thermal efficiency, mechanical simplicity, and long-term durability. The Atkinson cycle design, long known among engineers for its fuel-saving characteristics, keeps the intake valve open longer during the compression stroke, allowing a leaner, more efficient combustion process that extracts more energy from every drop of fuel.
That's one of the challenges of motor design.
This engine isn't just a supporting character, it plays a strategic role in how the entire hybrid system performs. Unlike traditional setups where the engine powers the wheels at all times, Honda's approach allows the Atkinson engine to operate selectively, often running only to generate electricity or when highway cruising demands it. This means the engine stays in a narrow RPM range, where it is most efficient and least stressed. The result? Less wear over time, quieter operation, and fewer emissions, all while contributing meaningfully to the vehicle's overall fuel economy. On account of this separation of duties, the engine experiences low revving and throttle response only occasionally. It generates electricity for the lithium-ion battery or allows highway cruising at a smooth pace with a steady and predictable output. Such a separation of duties allows for control of combustion cycles that yield cooler temperatures and reduces reliance on the engine for maximum provision, which eventually adds to its lifespan and minimizes any mechanical hassle on its part. Quite a clever redesign to use the internal combustion engine for a much-aligned, low-impact Christian purpose with the electrification trend. Restrained is what distinguishes Honda in this regard. An Atkinson engine is a departure from the industry norms of complex forced induction systems and high-stress components. There is neither turbocharging nor a belt-driven supercharger, just wielding intelligent combustion geometry and clever integration of the hybrid system to work with the engine's strengths. Honda's philosophy is not about maximizing output, but about the greatest reliability in real-world performance. It shows refining and repurposing the internal combustion engine will still be really useful on the way to advanced electrification. The hybrid built for real life. The true appeal of the 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid isn't found on a spec sheet. It's discovered behind the wheel, where everyday life unfolds. While many hybrids promise high fuel economy or technological novelty, Honda has engineered the Civic Hybrid to meet the real-world needs of drivers navigating everything from urban congestion to open highways. This is not a car that demands lifestyle changes or charging station planning. It's a hybrid that fits into your life without friction, offering intelligent energy use, reliable power, and day-to-day versatility that EVs still struggle to match. In dense city environments, the Civic Hybrid feels perfectly at home. Its two-motor system prioritizes electric-only driving at low speeds, quietly propelling the vehicle through stop-and-go traffic with zero tailpipe emissions and zero fuel consumption in many cases. Because it operates frequently in EV drive mode during these short, low-load trips, drivers benefit from noticeably reduced engine noise and smoother takeoffs, ideal for commutes, school runs, and errands. Unlike many hybrids that constantly toggle between electric and gas, the Civic Hybrid feels composed and confident, reducing the driver's mental load as well as their fuel bill. Where the Civic Hybrid really distances itself from electric-only alternatives is in its readiness for long-distance and spontaneous travel. There's no need to map out charging stops or worry about range in colder weather. On highways, the hybrid system automatically shifts to engine drive mode, allowing the efficient Atkinson cycle engine to take over and cruise at low RPMs for extended range and improved fuel economy. The battery still contributes in the background, recharging via regenerative braking and assisting during uphill climbs, but it's all automatic. For the driver, it means freedom and flexibility. The Civic Hybrid is always prepared for wherever the day leads. When it comes to the creature comforts and usability of the Civic Hybrid, nowhere does it skimp. The sumptuously appointed cabin is equipped with the latest in technology, well-thought-out ergonomics, and generous rear seat space that make the car just as good for family travel as it is for solo commutes, whether you go for the Sport Hybrid or upgrade to the Sport Touring Hybrid. Even between worlds of feasibility, the 2025 Civic Hybrid has proven that you can be hybrid and not have to sacrifice anything for it all, because this works not just in the ideal conditions of the laboratory, but with the rather more complex, unpredictable patterns of everyday life. That's what makes it more than a hybrid. It makes it a reliable, real-world partner. The other element that gives life to the Civic Hybrid in everyday living is so in tune with future urban mobility trends. Around the world, cities would now be increasingly putting up congestion pricing zones, incentives for low-emission vehicles, and stricter emissions regulations from London's ULEZ or New York's upcoming congestion tolling and hybrids become strategically of consideration for the economically frugal environmental stewards. The nice thing about having EV action during low-speed travel is that it suits these urbanites all the more in a way that avoids the penalty or performance trade-off to navigate. It is not just commuter-oriented, but defined as built for the shifting parameters of metropolitan modernities, where legality fits with even quiet confidence and comfort. The Civic's Hybrid Revolution. The 2025 Honda Civic Hybrid isn't just a step forward, it's a strategic redefinition of what a mainstream hybrid can be. While previous iterations of the Civic Hybrid were respectable entries in the compact segment, the newest model represents a wholesale transformation. It's no longer an economy-minded add-on to the lineup, it's a headline act. This reimagined Civic Hybrid serves as a flagship for Honda's broader vision of practical electrification, combining accessible price points, driver-first performance, and advanced efficiency technology in a sleek and contemporary package. What makes this version revolutionary isn't simply the technology, it's the way the Civic Hybrid elevates expectations across every category. Visually, it inherits the Civic's clean, mature styling introduced in the 11th generation, but adds subtle hybrid-specific design elements that reflect its updated mission.
The Honda Civic's always done well in Consumer Reports testing. It always had lively handling, good fuel economy, even decent reliability.
Underneath, the vehicle is underpinned by a fully integrated two-motor hybrid powertrain that was once exclusive to Honda's larger or more premium models. This platform democratizes advanced hybrid tech by putting it into a vehicle that appeals to first-time buyers, commuters, and eco-conscious drivers alike. Honda also pushes boundaries and redefines the interior of the Sport Touring Hybrid trim, incorporating everything from near-luxury appointments to a digital instrument cluster, wireless smartphone integration, an upgrade to sound systems, and tactile controls, laid out in a streamlined, intuitive fashion. Driving experience mirrors the class of the upscale cabin quiet, responsive, and tuned variable across a wide spectrum in driving styles. In the past, Econ, for maximum distance, or Sport for responsive performance, would have made the Civic Hybrid feel like a stylized compromise between gas and electric. Now, it feels like well-thought-out engineering. But the most important benchmark being set by the 2025 Civic Hybrid is how seamlessly hybrid capability integrates into the driving experience in general. No bold badges advertising hybrid tech here. No kooky shapes declaring, "Look at me, I'm effing hybrid." Just good old regular Honda stuff. Smooth acceleration, quiet energy recreation, and balanced handling that instills deep confidence. By doing this, Honda has evolved a hybrid beyond tech demo into what feels like the natural evolution of compact sedans. This is not an introduction to Honda anymore. This is a revolution. Perhaps another point the revolution comes in is that it fits so smoothly into a change in the generation of car shoppers, the younger drivers, especially the millennials and Gen Z, those who are considering mostly making conscious choices towards sustainability, tech integration, and style without compromising affordability or performance. According to a recent item from Deloitte's analysis of almost 60% of Gen Z respondents, some environmental impacts primarily indicate influenced decisions in vehicle choice. It means the Civic Hybrid answers this calling by offering a climate-conscious option, but it does not feel less than other cars. It courses right into being a hybrid with the language of younger buyers. Clear lines, connecting tech, and a reliability reputation, all together supporting the broader cultural shift into responsible consumption without diminishing the joy of driving. Still, this revolution didn't happen by accident. There's a bigger strategy at work behind the scenes. Honda's strategy for hybrid dominance. As the automotive world tilts between fully electric aspirations and real-world economic constraints, Honda is executing a measured but confident plan to lead the hybrid renaissance. With the 2025 Civic Hybrid at the forefront, Honda isn't chasing headlines with radical EV promises. It's pursuing something more immediate, attainable, and grounded in consumer behavior. At a time when EV costs remain high, infrastructure gaps persist, and charging times can't yet rival the speed of refueling, Honda sees hybrids as the pragmatic path forward, and it's doubling down on that conviction. This strategy centers on deploying refined, electrified powertrains in familiar, affordable nameplates. Instead of creating entirely new hybrid models that demand a different ownership mindset, Honda is building on trusted platforms like the Civic, ensuring a smooth transition for both loyal buyers and new adopters. By integrating its two-motor hybrid system into models already known for reliability and affordability, Honda makes electrification accessible without alienating the mass market. The Civic Hybrid becomes a bridge, not a leap, into the electrified future, offering an immediate solution that fits within current infrastructure and budgets. Honda's hybrid warfare is fundamentally about products, but even more than that, it deals with an attempt to establish greater vertical control over the supply chain and technology. Because Honda engineers and builds its own motors, batteries, and software for hybrid systems, it enjoys considerable technical synergy, not to mention added pricing leverage working in a volatile global marketplace.
The hybrid rides a little better than the regular Civic due to the extra weight from the hybrid battery system.
Perhaps some EV startups and even larger OEMs cannot call their hybrid systems completely proprietary, having heavily depended on third-party battery supplies. The systems are therefore lowering cost, while at the same time maintaining the high quality and endurance Honda is renowned for. These two considerations were most critical in securing long-term customer loyalty to Honda's electrified powertrains. It is neither one key technology nor another that positions Honda to change the way hybrids work. Rather, it's the entire strategy: value for money, impeccable execution, and scale in the long term. The entry is the Civic Hybrid. It automates all kinds of segments across various platforms, from compact sedans to crossovers, laying a foundation for a line of products that marries practical usability with environmental evolution. In an age of electrification, seemingly out of the reach or overly engineered, Honda seeks that middle ground, one that might not just stand to give competition to hybrid giants like Toyota, but to reshape what hybrid leadership resembles in a quickly changing marketplace. One more layer in Honda's approach is its adaptation to local market dynamics and social expectations about what ownership entails. In North America, for instance, there is an increasing consumer aversion to any behavior-modifying adaptations, preferring hybrids that do not require plug-in rituals or range planning. This culture of non-acceptance of EVs is coupled with the perceived lifespan of batteries, or even questions about their resale value, thus giving Honda's own self-charging hybrids an improved market position. As said by Mamadou Diallo, Senior VP of Auto Sales at American Honda, we see a sweet spot with hybrids right now. Buyers want efficiency, but also convenience and familiarity. This kind of realization goes beyond tactics. It has everything to do with a really deep understanding of how to get the mainstream buyer more towards electrification without having to leap too far, too fast. So, what do you think? Did Honda just change the hybrid game for good? If this 2025 Civic Hybrid surprised you as much as it did us, hit that like button to show your support. Got questions or thoughts? Drop them in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Stick around. We've got another video lined up that dives even deeper into what makes today's hybrids smarter than ever. Just click on the screen and we'll see you there.